Aloha. It's your favorite friend with questionable character, Aloha Mr. Hand, coming to you with another edition of Aloh-HOT Takes, courtesy of the Tainted Glove Network. So, first let me say that I am posting this on December 4th, which is the day that the Bears and Packers square off at Soldier Field. Go Bears! Beat the fucking Packers. Enough of this losing shit to those assholes. There, I said my piece. Just one more thing for the Bears. Please ground Aaron Rodgers into the fucking dirt. Don't let him own you again. So, with that being said, now let's get to the real reason for this edition of Hot Takes. So, the Hall of Fame is having what's called the Contemporary Baseball Era ballot that is being voted on, that may have already been voted on or is being voted on tomorrow morning, with the results being announced tomorrow night at the kickoff of the MLB winter meetings in San Diego. Side note, hopefully the White Sox do something positive. Not feeling too confident about it, but that's a story for another day. So the 8 Hall of Famers, the 8 candidates to get into the Hall of Fame on this committee, on this ballot, I should say, not the committee, but on the ballot, are Albert Bell, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Don Mattingly, Fred McGriff, Dale Murphy, Rafael Palmeiro, and Curt Schilling. And to understand this committee, you have to understand the committee, you have to understand who's on it. So the committee's broken up into 3 separate segments. It has Hall of Famers who vote, it has MLB executives who vote, and then it has media/historians who are also in the vote. And from my understanding, what happens is these people all get together, whether it's in a room together or through Zoom, it may be a combination of both, and basically discuss these 8 candidates. And it's sort of like a sales pitch, if you will, for each candidate. Someone has to do a quote-unquote sales pitch saying, this is why so-and-so should be in the Hall of Fame. They did this, they did that, this is their career average, this is their career OBP, career WAR, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So those presentations I would expect have already happened. And then I don't know if they've already voted or if the voting is tomorrow. But the vote results are announced tomorrow night or Sunday night as part of the kickoff of the winter meetings in San Diego. So let's start by looking at the committee. The committee consists of the Hall of Famers that are on the committee are Chipper Jones, Greg Maddux, Jack Morris, Ryne Sandberg, Lee Smith, Frank Thomas, and Alan Trammell. Pretty representative for the players of the era that they are looking at. They were direct competitors against each other at that time. And in some cases, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, teammates, which I'll get to in a second. The MLB executives are Paul Beeston, Theo Epstein, Artie Moreno, Kim Ng, Dave St. Peter, and Ken Williams. And then the media historians are Steve Hurt, Lavelle Neal, and Susan Slusser, who does a great job with the Oakland, covering the Bay Area teams in San Francisco, primarily the Oakland A's. I believe she's still on the beat. But you might remember this committee from a couple years ago. This is how Harold Baines got elected to the Hall of Fame. And anyone who listened to me, I told that as soon as they announced the membership of the committee, including Jerry Reinsdorf and Tony La Russa, I told anyone who would listen that Harold Baines was getting in the Hall of Fame. Because part of this is also sort of a, I'll vote for this guy, you vote for that guy, that kind of thing as well. So looking at the committee and looking at the ballot, my predictions are, now this is my predictions. I'm not saying whether or not I think the players should be in, because if it was up to me, Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds would not be on this because they should already be in. And for those of you who have an issue with, they took steroids, this and that, blah, 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 I will say a couple things. One, we can pinpoint with them when they started. With Barry Bonds, it was 1999. At that point, he was already one of the best players in history. He already had 3 MVPs, 1990, 1992, and 1993. 3 MVP awards long before this ever came about. His ego and jealousy were the reason why he started doing it, because he saw the attention that McGwire and Sosa were getting in the great chase of '98, and it pissed him off. So that's why he said he he needed to take it up a notch, if you will. Roger Clemens, again, another guy who had an MVP award in 1986, who had three Cy Young awards, 86, 87, and 91. And, you could pinpoint him about 97 when he wound up in Toronto with Jose Canseco. That seems to be the point where he started doing it as well. Because if you remember, in 96, Boston let him go because there was supposedly deterioration of his skills. And then he goes to Toronto and wins a couple more Cy Young awards. So you can sort of pinpoint that time frame too. And also remember, the White Sox chose Jamie Navarro over Roger Clemens in one of the dumbest moves of all time. You knew you were going young. You knew, hey, you had all these young pitchers. And who do you want him to learn from? Jamie Navarro, a guy who never amounted to jack shit? Or Roger Clemens, a guy who at that point in time had 2 20 strikeout games and 3 Cy Young awards and an MVP. Okay, whatever. It's history. Still stupid. But in looking at this ballot, I think there are 2 locks. And I think there's a third that is sort of bordering on it, and I'll explain why. I think the 2 locks, to be honest with you, are Dale Murphy and Fred McGriff. And you might notice something about both of those guys. Strong Atlanta ties. You also have 2 Atlanta guys on the committee in Greg Maddux and Chipper Jones. And frankly, I could see Frank Thomas voting for him because I think Frank will never vote for Bonds or Clemens or any of the steroid guys, to be honest with you. I don't think Sandberg would vote for any of the steroid guys. I don't see Trammell or Morris or Lee Smith voting for the steroid guys either. I think, in all honesty, the steroid guys are going to have a tougher time with this committee than they did with the sports writers because, let's face it, the sports writers were the ultimate hypocrites. They are the ones who voted all these guys MVP, Cy Young, so on and so forth, when they knew they were juicing. And now they're, we can't let these guys in because they did this stuff. Well, first off, you're the assholes who voted for him. You're the assholes who looked the other way. And frankly, if Bud Selig has a plaque in the Hall of Fame, which is downright disgusting, they should too. But my personal preferences, my personal take is, I think that McGriff and Murphy are locks. I've talked to a couple people with Hall of Fame connections who share that sentiment. I think Mattingly could have a chance. I don't know if he's got the votes right now. I think Kim Ng there helps him because Kim worked with him in New York and in Miami. And I just think that's what it's going to be. I honestly don't think Palmeiro, Schilling, Bell, Bonds, and Clemens get a fair shake in this. Now, Schilling, I think Curt Schilling is Hall of Very Good. I don't think he's Hall of Fame. Yes, he had some big October games, but I still think he's Hall of Very Good. And it has nothing to do with his personal opinions or anything else. I could give 2 shits about that, to be honest with you. Bonds and Clemens, I've already stated, I think they belong there. Palmeiro, you could apply the same logic because Rafael Palmeiro is a guy who got 3,000 hits, who got 500 home runs, and I'm sure that Ryne Sandberg will vote no on Rafael Palmeiro till the day he dies because of Palmeiro's involvement with Cindy Sandberg. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. There's a reason that Palmeiro was traded from the Cubs before the 1989 season, and a lot of it has to do with Cindy Sandberg. But those are my takes, so take that for what you want. Feel free to send me a message, tell me I'm a genius, or more likely, I'm an idiot. But that's how I'm thinking this is going to shake out. Like I said, the announcement comes down roughly around 7 o'clock Sunday night, Sunday, December 4th. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Also, let me add that after the Bears-Packers game on Sunday, December 4th, Yumper and Zvo at the show will be going live after the Bears game. And they will have special guest Chirizi from the 108 to discuss Star Wars. Don't miss that. And if you haven't seen, our guy Magnificent Stan, Brian, has been doing an absolute knockout job with his It's Getting Drafty in Here podcast. So I would recommend going to check that out. The last one was about I want to say this right, NES 8-bit games, and it had a couple of the guys from the Chicago Sports Bums, the HBIC head bum in charge, and also Baloney, as well as Zombie Jackie, who all of them did a fantastic job on that pod. And I know there was a poll about who you think won the draft. I think you should check it out and then place your vote for who you think won the draft. So Tainted Glove will be back next week. I'm sure that Fidge and I will have a lot to talk about. We got a Bears game today. The Bears are off next weekend. This finally their bye, thank goodness. And I'm sure we will have some Hall of Fame talk. We will definitely have winter meetings talk. And then probably more frustration talk about the Bears Packers as well. So hopefully you can join us. If you got any questions, got any concerns, of course, feel free to let me know. Thank you very much for your time. With that, have a great day. Happy holidays, everyone. I am out of here.